community values. I think she was discussing this because I'm not sure where you gave this topic, usually. But she wanted to be discussed. I think that's why she put this topic up. And so we wanted to spend a little bit of time to discuss what is a community and what holds a community together. So discussing the community values that we have been practicing for a while now may give us some insight as to how to build communities and how to create an environment where everyone feels like they can be safe and vulnerable and at home. Because we know home is a place where you can let your hair down. Home is a place where you can be yourself. Home is a place where you feel shelter and comfort. So community means common unity, which means there's something in common that holds us together. And that's how we remain united. So in our Bhakti communities, we have been discussing and fine-tuning more and more these principles and values that keep us all together and keep us united. And the cool thing is that you could take these values with you because you are a walking community. When you practice these values, then people will naturally be attracted to you, and wherever you go, you will have community around you. So that's the beauty of these values that we'll be studying about. So we have 7 in total. And the first value that we have is that may we have an open heart and mind. I think this is quite self-explanatory. All of them are actually quite self-explanatory. But to understand why it is so important to live in this world with an open heart and an open mind is that when anything is closed, when you have a closed heart or a closed mind, then nothing can go in. And Laura, welcome home. And very little can come out because we have put some boundaries, such heavy, strong boundaries that nothing can go in or out. And if nothing can go in or out, the growth does not happen. Our spiritual growth gets stunted. And so therefore, to somehow practice this mood of having an open heart and an open mind allows ourselves to grow and others to come into our lives. And that's how we build communities. For example, when you have a full cup, when you have anything, you're drinking water, for example, if your cup is full, what happens is it does not allow space for any more to fit into the cup. Whatever the cup is filled with, it remains filled with that. So what we are hoping with this values is that we would like you to check yourself to see how full is your cup. And many times you may notice that society has filled our cup. And it's not something that we have personally chosen to fill, but it has been filled. So in that case, to be conscious of the fact that our cup is full and continue to fill that full cup with something more spiritual and more divine, which is loving, beautiful, open-hearted souls, then whatever is inside, and eventually this cup, this emotion, this spiritual vibration will fill that cup and everything else will start to empty out. But in principle, one has to at least be cognizant of the fact that one's cup is needs to be emptied somehow, or needs to have some more space to grow. Otherwise, we can sit in class and we can discuss, we can connect with people, but we will always remain the same. I give you an example. There are people, I used to go to this temple, and there are people that I met in the temple, and I said, how many years have you been coming to the temple? They said that I've been going to the temple for 50 years. Every single day I go to the temple. And I said, how do you feel? He said, the same. The day I came in and to this day I feel the same. And I said, oh, interesting. Why do you feel the same? Because he didn't get initiated. He doesn't really follow anything that they teach. He just makes it his routine to just show up. So imagine, for decades of his life invested in something. He has not adopted any of the practices. He just goes there to just be there. It's a very interesting concept that we are there just to be there. There's nothing we're getting, nothing we're giving, just to be there. And I thought that was a very interesting approach. But most people, I noticed that we are continuously growing because we give ourselves at least the recognition of the fact that there could be something that I can learn. Also, just thinking about it, when our heart, the doors to our heart is closed, it doesn't allow anybody to enter our heart. And sometimes the doors are closed where we ourselves cannot enter our heart. We lock ourselves out of our hearts. And this is something that I've also noticed, that people in this world, they're looking for love, they're looking for community, but yet they're the obstacles for feeling that love because they have closed the doors. Imagine this, a story of a child, of a young man who is living in a beautiful castle. And everything is, the world around him is shifting, changing, the seasons, so much beauty, everyone is having fun. And he's sitting inside this beautiful castle. He wants to join, and he goes to the door, and he's trying to push open the door so he could experience the world. He's doing everything in his power to push the door. Year by year, decades go by, and he's becoming more and more frail, but he still has this desire to experience the world. And one day when he gets to the door, because he's so frail and fragile, instead of pushing the door, he gently opens, he pulls it in, and the door opens. And then he's able to experience the whole world. So it's explaining to us that it is so important to understand the importance of having a door that actually opens, and we can consciously open the doors to our hearts. Because then we will have access to it, because we have locked ourselves in or out, and sometimes we can't move freely. So that's why we have this first value. May we always have an intention to have an open heart and an open mind. Just something for us to think about. When we're looking for love and we're saying that no one loves us, it's only because we don't have the door open. for people to go in or for us to go out, to experience love. Number two we have is, may we be free from judgment. So, human nature is such in this world because we're conditioned by so many material impediments that we are only seeing the world with the lenses of our senses. And so there's always a misunderstanding that we have within ourselves of everything in this world. And the reason is because we see the world with the lens of our senses. With the eyes we see it, with the ears we hear, with the nose we smell, with the sense of touch and taste. We experience the world through our 5 sensory faculties. And these sensory faculties, because they're imperfect, they give us so many missed signals. I remember when we were young, and one of the boys told me that there was a girl that loved him. And I said, how do you know that the girl loves you? He said, well, she looked at me. And it was so cute because he felt that because someone looked at him, that she loved him. And I was like, well, how did she look at you? Well, he was so descriptive. He was looking at me with the eyes of compassion and of love. And, he had completely romanticized this idea. And then I was thinking, okay, after I heard his side of the story, I went and I asked that girl, hey, are you interested in this boy? And she says, no way. And I was thinking how two people are experiencing complete opposite emotions. And this is a common thing that happens in this world. We look at the world with the lens of our senses, and that's why it gives us a lot of mixed signals. And so this misunderstanding is a common nature of human experience when we see the world with our senses. So therefore, the way the sages are saying is that this judgment in our lives that we continuously experience the world with our judgment. He is like this, she is like this, the world is like this. All of this judgment starts to disappear when we look at the world with the lens of our hearts. So this is what the sages are explaining. And when we look at everyone and everything in this world with the lens of the heart, what we see is the beautiful spark. That is the first thing we see. Even if a person is the most so-called horrible person in the world, but when we look with the eyes, with the lens of the heart, then the first thing we'll see is what an incredible person that soul is. And then we will start to see the other layers of that person. This person has the tendency to be mean tendencies. This person has cruel tendencies. This person has, adopted many, many other material qualities that are not conducive for spiritual life. So what happens is we are able to see things in proper perspective, and we do not allow ourselves to immediately judge someone because we're looking with the wrong lens. When we look at, if you put this lens, if you put a red lens in these glasses, then everything I see will be red. Because the lens we look at the world with. So therefore, it is explained by the sages that we have to really, really practice to see the world with the lens of our hearts. and then we can be free of judgment. And who wants to be in a place where they're being judged all the time? Nobody wants to. And so therefore, our community, we want to practice this freedom of judgment environment. And the third one we have is that may we practice being free from gossip. Gossip is, most of you know, is a very, very powerful vibration that we put out. Normally, we know that if someone is gossiping with you, you have to keep in mind they're also gossiping about you. The probability is that they're also gossiping about you is quite high. So if we surround ourselves with people who gossip, then we have to understand that they're gossiping about someone else is because they're trying to find something superior within themselves. Gossip generally means talking not nice about others or saying something about others that could be little belittling. So this great sage Rupa Goswami explains, this one of the 6 sages of Vrindavan, he explains that gossiping in this wisdom text is called prajalpa. Prajalpa. Of course, there is different levels of gossip, which we won't get into now. There's 4 different levels of gossip. But in general, they're called prajalpa, which means to say things to contaminate the ether. Whenever we say things that are not benefiting you or others in the world, what we're doing is we're putting that energy, the sound frequency in the air, that is going to pollute the whole environment. How? Because if when someone gossips about someone with you, you carry that emotion in your mind, and then it's so heavy, then you have to share it with someone else. Did you know what such and such told me? Just to get rid of that weight, you tell someone else. So you become part of that gossip. And that weight is also heavy on someone else, and that person shares it with someone else. Because gossip is a very, very heavy energy to carry. It's so heavy that this Rupa Goswami explains that gossiping is like a frog croaking. In India, you will notice that I have experienced that in the in the rainy season, there's a lot of frogs everywhere. They come out, the toads and the frogs, they all come out to eat the bugs. And they're celebrating, they're croaking, very loud. Everywhere you go, you will hear the frogs croaking. And that is also a time where you'll find lots and lots of snakes. Because snakes, very easy for them to find their target because the sound is amplified, so they can easily go and find their target. So you'll see the rainy season is a big feast for the snakes because all the frogs are croaking. So this sage explains that gossiping is like this frog, causing and inviting one's own death. So this is value number 3. May we practice being free from gossip. Then we have number 4, may we always practice gratitude. Everyone knows the power of gratitude. And it explains that when we practice gratitude every day, it's literally like a garland of fragrant flowers that we wear it on ourselves, that it's so attractive and so fragrant that everyone is attracted to you. What does that mean? Because gratitude means you're appreciative of everything that is going on right in your life. Every blessing in your life, you're counting those blessings. And who does not want to be surrounded by people who are always counting their blessings? And those blessings are so fragrant that everyone can smell that fragrance. And this is why in our practice, we are continuously trying to accumulate more and more fragrant flowers in our lives so we can garland ourselves with this garland of gratitude. It's the most attractive thing. I remember the first time I flew into Hawaii, and when you land at the immigrations in Hawaii airport, I was greeted with beautiful champaka flowers from Hawaii, this fragrant, colorful flowers. I remember when they garlanded me, I was just like, wow. I was just immediately captivated by the fragrance and the color of the garland. So imagine you walking around with this fragrant garland of varieties of flowers, which is the various different kinds, different things and different aspects of your life that you're grateful for. So this is what we practice in our community, to practice gratitude, to count our blessings every day, journal about what is right in our life. We write down what is right. So write the rights in your life. And the second point I'll make is that it explains that when you practice gratitude, your immune system builds up. It wires our brains. Scientific research continuously being done on this principle, on this emotion of gratitude, that it wires our brains to increase the immune system that we have in this body. Then you may be wondering why, in previous times the sages lived for hundreds of years. How is that possible? When you find a person who lives 100 years, you must pause and ask yourself, how is this possible, living 100 years? Sick-free, body-free of ailments. It is because they live the life of gratitude. The life of a sage is a life of gratitude. Everyone they meet, everything they have, every emotion that they have, every obstacle they face, they're grateful for. When every incident, every experience, every thought, every emotion is covered in gratitude, this is the secret of the life of a sage. That there is nothing that he is ungrateful for. And when we live that life, the life of a sage, then you will notice you may live for hundreds of years. And the reality is none of us want to die. So immortality, the secret of immortality, is this practice of gratitude. Because through this practice of gratitude, what we're experiencing is divine connection. So this is point number 4 in the community that we practice. And then 5 is to observe and appreciate the good in others. It is very difficult to look at the world when you can see so much is going wrong. When we turn on our TVs and our one-eyed gurus, then all we see is breaking news. And every time you turn on the TV, it's just breaking news, breaking news, breaking news. I remember when I first came to the US, we had a station, a CNN station that would always play the headline news over and over again and again, 24 hours. And I used to listen to that news. And every time you look at the headline news, it was all breaking news, breaking news, breaking news, breaking news, one after another. And it is definitely breaking news because the news is so harsh that it literally breaks your heart. That's why it's called breaking news, because it does literally break your heart. And so it's hard to look at the world, observe the world, and appreciate the good. So what we need to do is, again, when we see the world, we have to try and find the good in every living entity in the world. In everything in this world, we're trying to find the good. So this is a very deep practice. And the hardest one is, how do we find this good in everything and everyone in an unexpected context? Because we know that society programs us to expect certain things, certain places. You know, people have to dress it this way, and you expect, they teach you how to expect in this world. The society, the media companies that teach us how to expect. And we are programmed to have certain expectations. And how do we find unexpected good in the context of everything in this world? For example, you may be walking down the street and you see a rock. It's hard for you to pause and appreciate a rock in the middle of the street. But that same rock, when it's taken and put it into a Smithsonian Museum with a beautiful description and the glories of the rock, who just does a little bit of research and finds the value in it, then automatically we put value in it. Why? Because we're programmed to put value and expect certain things, and we're programmed to see value in it. So when we are not programmed to see value in some things, and yet we are able to see value in it, this is the practice that we can try. I remember years ago, someone had sent me a video. The video was of an old man playing soccer and dribbling the soccer ball in the middle of downtown Madrid, where thousands of people are going all around. And this old man was dribbling the ball through people's legs and like super skilled. And he was kicking the ball to people, and people were just avoiding him, and everybody was avoiding him. Till one little boy that he kicked the ball to, and the boy kicked the ball back with him, and he started to play with this old man. And then this old man called that boy because he took off the mask that he was wearing. It was a decoy. He was incognito. It was Cristiano Ronaldo, one of the most popular soccer players in the history of soccer. You know, he's got, 800 million Instagram followers. That such an influential figure. He took off his mask and he signed that soccer ball for the little boy. And the moral of the story that I'm sharing with you is that because society has told us to look at certain things a certain way, no one could appreciate his talent that he was showing off in the middle of the street. A little boy sees the talent. And as soon as he took off his mask and he was really who he is, then there's a mob of 1 billion people coming to meet him. So this is, something that we have to try and keep in mind, that we have to try and see the beauty, even when you don't expect to see the beauty, you'll see the beauty in it. So we have to be conscious and mindful. And this importance of how your observation should be valued, not what the world thinks that you should see. Because each and every one of our observation is so unique, especially when we look at the world with the lens of our heart, is so unique. We have to value our own observation. Individual observation and distinct value that we see in each and every one. So that's why we have this value. We need to observe and appreciate good in others and good in everything in this world. So it is a conscious effort that we can make. And all of you already do it. It's not that something you're hearing something new, but to realize how unique your observation is, how you can see the beautiful creation of the divine. And 7, we have, may we always practice tolerance. It's a difficult one because we don't want to tolerate anyone. But the fact of the reality is, dear beautiful souls, is that whether we like it or not, we're going to be forced to tolerate. The world, there is 3 kleshas or sources of suffering in this world. There is the uncontrollable divine causes, tornadoes, hurricanes, earthquakes, flooding. These are things that we cannot control. We have to tolerate. The hot and summer seasons, no matter how much we can do, we have to tolerate. Krishna, in the discussion with his friend Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, he explains his principles of tolerating happiness and distress, loss or gain, victory or defeat, because they're like winter and summer seasons, they come and go. So in our communities, we have to see how to tolerate one another and tolerate everyone in general. And the reason it's difficult to tolerate is because in our mind, we have this narrative that there is something that is right and there is someone that is wrong. We're continuously thinking, oh, this person is right, this person is wrong. They're having an argument, and we come to a conclusion. So this narrative that we have in our mind of continuously saying this one is right, this one is wrong, the Democrats are wrong, the Republicans are right, the Republicans are wrong, the Democrats are right. So we always have this duality in our observation that the mind provides us. And this is normal in this world. And that's why it's hard. This person I will tolerate, this person I will not tolerate. So this quality of tolerance is an extremely powerful fragrance in your life. You will realize one of the greatest saints of Bhakti, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he says that we should be more tolerant than a tree. When I remember studying that, I was thinking, this is insane. He's asking something that, it's too much of an ask. More tolerant than a tree. Then I started to realize that the tree is taking all the heat from the sun. And what is the tree providing? It is providing shade. Imagine, tree takes the heat and gives you shade. It's incredible. And the tree is not just providing you shade, the tree is providing you fruits, the tree is providing you flowers, the tree is providing you shelter, when you cut it down, every aspect of the tree is being taken and used and utilized in so many different ways. And yet the tree never complains. The tree is tolerant. So how can we absorb people's negative energies and still give them love? How is it possible that Jesus Christ is being whipped and caned and crucified in public view and he's still pouring out love and compassion? This is what tolerance means. I'm not asking you to go to that level of Jesus Christ, because that may be a little difficult, because it requires high level of spiritual consciousness. We see this in the tradition of Bhakti. This great saint Haridas Thakur, he's being whipped and caned in 22 marketplaces while his frail body is being dragged through the streets, and the different sharp rocks are cutting his body and breaking and peeling his skins apart. And yet, with every breath, he's praying, my dear Lord, please forgive the soldiers. It is not them who are torturing me. They're simply following the orders. Please forgive them. Please forgive them. This is the quality of the ultimate level of tolerance. So what we are requesting in this community to each and every one of your hearts is how to make this tolerance, practice this tolerance by making it your choice. Because you're going to have to tolerate the natural disasters, you're going to have to tolerate your mind, you're going to have to tolerate other living entities that you may not like. But how do we consciously try to choose to practice tolerance? Because we realize that we are in this path to realize that we are eternal spiritual divine beings. And this quality of tolerance, the fragrance of tolerance, is one of the most divine qualities that we can cultivate. The most divine quality. Because it's not just tolerating the uncontrollable aspects of this universe, not being able to control other living entities, but your own mind. Because the mind is filled with lust, anger, greed, envy, jealousy, and many other qualities that are not so fragrant. That if you had those qualities of envy, people don't want to be around you. But to be able to control the urges of the mind. So this is what, to tolerate the urges, not control, but to tolerate the urges, because they will continuously come. We cannot control them, but we can tolerate them. So this is what the sages are saying, especially in these beautiful writings of the 6 sages of Vrindavan. Vacha vegam manasaha krodha vegam. He's asking us to tolerate the urges of speaking ill of others, tolerating our anger, and various other qualities that are not so beautiful. And finally, number 7, that may we always maintain confidentiality. Why confidentiality? Because it automatically seems like, oh, there's something very cultish. I remember when someone told me, you have to maintain confidentiality. Oh no, what did this guy do now? Has anyone ever experienced that? Yeah, I need to tell you something. It's confidential. Then you're automatically thinking, oh my God, he must have hurt someone. He must have stole something. He must have done something wrong he doesn't want the world to see. And that's where the mind goes. But confidentiality is a quality that creates community because it creates participation. If we have practice confidentiality in our communities, in our families, in our lives, then there is this quality of trust that is being built. Most of you know, working in the corporate world, you have to sign oath of confidentiality for your company, because otherwise you'll leak out the secrets, the company secrets. And the confidentiality document is like 30-page document. Am I right, Keshavi? Did you have to sign that with the federal government, that you will not spill the federal secrets?
Probably.
Sorry?
Well, probably. I don't remember.
Yes, Prabhu, I had to do it for working at the US Embassy and the Indian Embassy. I had so much a confidentiality document. I had to sign so much, like my whole life away.
Yes. So this is important because it builds, it builds participation, it builds confidentiality, and it builds trust. And people realize that their information, that their emotion, that everything that they're sharing is actually safe and is received well. When someone opens the heart to share their difficulties with you, that you're going to understand that they have put 100% of their trust in your hands. And will you be that person to break their trust, to destroy their heart? And so that's why in our community, when we share with one another what's in our hearts, we maintain, we respect the fact that someone has shown their deepest love and respect for us to share those with us. And only with their permission should we share anything that they share with us. So this is our 7 values that we try to practice in our community. So number 1, may we have an open heart and mind. Number 2, may we be free from judgment. And number 3, may we practice freedom from gossip. Number 4, may we express daily gratitude. Number 5, may we appreciate the good in others and good in everything. Number 6, may we practice tolerance. Number 7, may we maintain confidentiality. So, these are just some values that I had spent a lot of time meditating on. And there could be so many things, but this 7 is the core values that enables people's growth, individual growth, community growth, and unification, and unity and harmony. So these are the values. So if anybody would like to add anything or subtract anything from anything I have said, or have any questions, we have 10 minutes. 8 minutes. Yes, Cynthia.
Hare Krishna. Hello, everybody.
Hare Krishna.
In my profession, I'm a massage therapist, so it's everything's completely confidential. I have some clients that come in that just need to vent. And oftentimes I have this one client in particular, she's a beautiful person, but she gossips a lot. And sometimes I can deflect her by either changing the subject or finding something positive. And sometimes it's very difficult. So what do you suggest in a situation like that? I'm supposed to be holding space for her to show up exactly as she is. The gossip thing just kind of really, I could feel myself tightening up a little bit. And like I said, I try to deflect it. So I'm just wondering what you could recommend. in a situation like that?
I normally recommend that we let people know that the space that they're in, it's a very sacred space. That this is the place where there's a lot of healing that takes place, and we want to maintain the sanctity of this sacred space. And for that, your whole life, this beautiful vessel that we are, this is a sacred space. So why should we contaminate a sacred space? So we can always ask people, that this is a healing space or this is a sacred space. And if you don't mind, if what you're about to say is not beneficial, if what you're about to share is not something that will help others, will heal others, then maybe this is not the place to share. We want to listen to others when they vent, because that means they trust you, that they're ready to vent. But at the same time, there is a boundary between them venting about something that has happened and someone who gossips. Someone who gossips is a continuous thing that they just go from one place and they gossip. It's like the flies, Gossip is like flies. They just go from one trash to another, just picking up. They like to sit on filthy places. And wherever they sit, they also contaminate that place. So we can try by our own compassionate ways, because we may not realize, but the sound frequency travels beyond these two people that you're talking to. We all share the same air that everyone in the world is united, because we inhale the same air. We occupy the same universal space. And when we use these words that are just gossiping, it actually affects the ether. That energy is felt far, far away. And also what we're doing is, when that mentality is there, we're creating an aura around us, because when we're gossiping means that's where your mind is. So that energy frequency that you carry wherever you go, imagine that. You're like a human repellent, because no one wants to be around you because you just gossip. And then what are you surrounded by? Loneliness. And then you'll have to adopt animals. And then because the animals cannot communicate with you, they just have to tolerate you, And so it's a very tricky situation. People that gossip are very lonely people, because the energy frequency continuously saying and thinking those things, the sound frequency that you're surrounded by, you cannot even imagine how difficult and toxic it is. Who wants to be around such people? And so just something to consider, and it's always good to have empathy and dialogue with them. That's just my recommendation. People need to understand for themselves how this quality, this smell, this odor actually is not a smell, it's an odor. This odor is just like, it's repelling divine connections, repelling beautiful relationships, is repelling deep human experience, divine experience. So that's my two thoughts on that, One day we can maybe have a deeper class on that topic.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia. Yes, we have Nil. He has something he would like to share with us.
No, I find myself I'm taking notes. I'm wanting to carefully be able to remember these things. And my thought was because I want to share it with other people. But then you talk about confidentiality. So I want to make sure it's okay to quote you.
You can quote anything and everything I say.
Okay.
Because for me, everything I say is from my heart, and there's nothing to hide in my heart.
Okay. All righty. Thank you. Thank you for your sharing your wisdom. Appreciate it.
But generally, Neil, confidentiality is when someone has some struggles and they want to share with someone. Normally, those struggles that we share with others that we don't want others to know, those are our secret powers. Vulnerability is your true power. And you don't want everyone to see your power because they may not be able to appreciate it. So that's why confidentiality is a sacred space that allows people to show off their mystical powers, their powers in the world. Because vulnerability is true authenticity, is the true expression of power, true emotion of power. So thank you. Beautiful question, Nild. Anyone else would like to share anything? Yes, Kushita.
Namaste, everyone. Thank you, Veda for this space. I just want to say, well, first of all, I'll share publicly that I finally got tattooed Kushita on my arm in Indonesia. So I wanted to give you that surprise and bring in the community. It's a long story, but it's my spiritual name. Thank you for that. I just wanted to say that I just got back from 4 months in Asia, and I keep on meeting communities and people around the world doing great work. And I just want to say that there's a reason why I come back to this or always stay grounded to Food for Lives, because what you teach is exactly what you lead with your actions. And every word that you expressed here, I was like, check Food for Lives, check Food for Lives, check Food for Lives. And it is such an honor to have you as a teacher, as a mentor, as a leader, as a spiritual figure, as a family member, and all of you hearing this message that combine the essence of every word that you were saying and how it deeply is within me despite of any place that I am. And I just wanted to bring this from the bottom of my heart. I'm pretty emotional this morning. I really think I'm missing my Food for Life family. That's why I'm coming back on June 18th, by the way. I'd love to see you all. And I just wanted to express my gratitude, Veda, for holding such a strong community. I adore you and everyone in this organization. Thank you for giving me that wisdom with action.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. Any announcements? Nitai, Keshavi, Balaram, housekeeping?
I'm blanking. Val just got me with that beautiful thought. Thank you, Val. We, if there's anybody that wants to come to the Connecticut retreat, we just have one male spot and one female spot in a shared room left, and then commuter passes. Just wanted to flag that. Nitai, did you have anything?
Yeah, just share a link with all the retreat links if you would like to check it. And also, like, we have a new retreat, like, I mean, it's not new. We shared it like a few weeks ago in Georgia, Labor Day weekend, which is August 30th to September 2nd. Yeah. To anyone who wants to join in, if they missed the Connecticut retreat, to join in on this retreat. We have spots open. And yeah, and do follow Vedaji on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. It helps us keep the community together online throughout the week.
Balaram, in Food for Lives in Atlanta, we are finally leaving our kitchen space It's a 7,000 square feet of kitchen space that we will be leaving. Everything is out, it's cleaned, but we wanted to have a going away party. You know, we have entering into the space celebration, and then we're leaving the space celebration. So it'll be Sunday at noon. There'll be just discussions and having lunch together once before, all together in our space before we move to the next space. So that'll be 12 o'clock on Sunday. So thank you. Please feel free to join us.